Dear Kiddo, take my hand into darkness. The first time I was ever gaslit, it was by your mom. To be fair, she wasn't waving a lantern or quoting Shakespeare while pretending the lights weren't flickering. But she might as well have been. It was a masterclass in psychological gymnastics, the kind you don't see coming until you're neck-deep in the absurdity, wondering if you accidentally joined a soap opera. Let me set the scene. I was living on Artist Road, not far from downtown Santa Fe. It was a quaint spot, close to the Adobe charm and overpriced art galleries that made the city famous. The rent was high, but I justified it by the easy walk to everything worth seeing. I thought I had it all. Great location, a cozy home, and what I naively assumed was a functional relationship. Mom had come over for dinner that night. Things were already feeling off, though I hadn't yet developed the antennae to detect the red flags she was waving around like semaphore signals. Dinner started out normal enough, but then the plot twisted in a way that made me feel like I was trapped in a Hitchcock film, The Underwear Mystery. It all began with a pair of white thong underwear. Not mine, obviously. I found them sitting on my closet floor one day, like a cryptic message from the universe. Given that I hadn't been with anyone else, the only logical conclusion was that they belonged to Mom. So, being the responsible adult I am, I tossed them in the laundry basket and went about my day. Problem solved, or so I thought. Later, the underwear vanished. Houdini style. Gone, without a trace. I chalked it up to the mysterious ways of the laundry cycle, where socks disappear and alliances are broken. But then, on the night of Mom's visit, they reappeared. I had just pulled a load of clean laundry from the dryer and dumped it on my bed, and there they were, right on top of the pile, as if they'd been sitting there all along, taunting me. My internal alarm bells started ringing, but I tried to play it cool. I stuffed the thong into the middle of the laundry pile, determined to pretend it didn't exist. Mom, however, had other plans. When I returned to the bedroom later, the underwear had been pulled out and laid neatly to the side, as if someone had ironed them and displayed them like evidence in a courtroom drama. The gaslighting begins. I decided to confront Mom. Surely this was some kind of test, a bizarre loyalty experiment designed to see if I'd come clean about something I hadn't even done. Holding up the offending thong like it was Exhibit A, I said, "These must be yours, right?" Her reaction was Oscar-worthy. She looked at me as though I'd handed her a live grenade. "Those aren't mine," she said, her tone dripping with disgust. I was dumbfounded. "They have to be," I stammered, the words catching in my throat. "I haven't been with anyone else." She fixed me with a stare that could curdle milk. "So, whose are they?" she demanded, as though I were hosting a secret lingerie party while she wasn't looking. The accusation hung in the air like the smell of burnt toast, confusing, unsettling, and completely unwarranted. Projection and confession. That's when the floodgates opened. Mom, unable to leave well enough alone, turned the conversation toward her trip to Europe, and suddenly, I was in a confessional booth. "Well," she began, a little too casually, "I did sleep with someone while I was in Europe." Time slowed. The air grew thick. My brain screamed, "What now?" Apparently, she had planned on sleeping with several people, like it was some kind of European checklist, until she got an email from me saying how much I was looking forward to her return. The guilt, or something resembling it, had stopped her from fully following through, though she did confess to making out with a German guy in Temple Bar in Dublin and an Irishman in Galway. They were part of her grand European adventure, her eat, pray, love, minus the spiritual awakening, and with a lot more alcohol. The revelation, it was at that moment, standing in my Santa Fe bedroom, holding a pair of mystery underwear, that I began to suspect Mom wasn't just quirky, she might have an actual personality disorder. But back then, I didn't even know what that meant. All I knew was that nothing about this situation felt normal. Why was she accusing me of infidelity when she had a personal Euro trip after dark itinerary? Why were we having this conversation at all? I realized then that Mom projected her guilt onto me because she assumed everyone else operated the way she did, with secrets, double standards, and a flair for the dramatic. It wasn't about the underwear. It was about her need to control the narrative, even if the story didn't make any sense. A lesson in gaslighting. Looking back, the whole episode feels like a dark comedy. The underwear, the accusations, the European escapades, it was all part of a bizarre psychological tango I didn't even realize I was dancing. But it taught me an important lesson. Sometimes people will rewrite reality to fit their own insecurities, and if you're not careful, they'll drag you into their alternate universe. So, dear kiddo, if you ever find yourself staring at a pair of mystery underwear and questioning your grip on reality, just remember, it's probably not about the underwear. It's about the person holding the pen, furiously rewriting the script to make themselves the hero. And if that happens, take my advice. Don't play along. Sometimes the only way out of the darkness is to laugh and walk away.